What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Big Guilty Cigars podcast. Today, I am joined by the amazing Tom Fischer. He is also a part of the Bourbonblog and a few other things. Tom is one of the best whiskey experts in the United States. If you go to his Twitter, you will see that all the people that he meets, it's real. I was blown away by it. But I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to let Tom tell you guys more just about him and his background and all that good stuff.
Well, Innocent, hey, thanks for having me on. It's so
No
good to see you again, brother. We had a good time a few
Yes, we
weeks
did.
ago at Cigar Barbecue.
Yes, we did.
Handsome Devil raising
Phantom Devil, yep, in Newburgh, New
funds
York.
for,
In Newburgh, New York.
yeah, we had so much fun. Great barbecue with Ed Randolph there and Sanj, of course, bringing amazing smokes, and Maddie just
yeah.
and I love that we're smoking the same thing today.
Yeah. And you know what?
1014.
The best, one of my favorite parts was the peg when the guy from Peg Leg started. I think his name is Kerry. When he started singing.
Yeah.
You know what? Have you seen his business card?
Yeah, Carrie's oh man, Carrie's so much fun. There's nobody like I knew Carrie. I think I met him over 10 years ago because he released that bourbon about 8 or 9 something years ago. But I met him in Danville, Kentucky at a barbecue festival, and it was so much fun to be with him again and be with all of you. And Carrie just such a character. But you know, I was
big character, yes.
Big character. I was so fortunate to meet so many of these great barbecue people and bourbon people early on. I started bourbonblog.com about 17 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Really before the bourbon boom, following stories of bourbon. I had been working in film and TV and radio. I helped the actress that played Mary Ann on Gilligan's Island, Dawn Wells, start a film festival in Idaho. And that's what inspired me to do a documentary on bourbon. And then from that, just for fun, I just was like looking one day, what domain names are not taken. And then I found Bourbonblog wasn't taken.
Yeah.
So I thought, how fun would it be just to put a few stories up from the documentary, not knowing that it would become a career, which I'm glad it's become a career. And, you know, the last, I would say 6, 7, 8 years. I mean, I've always enjoyed cigars since I was young.
Yeah.
But I started getting back into it and pairing and meeting great people like you. And so I'm just, it's been a fun ride, and it continues to be.
So you drink so much bourbon.
Try a lot of good ones.
Yeah. What do you keep like in your what are your go-tos? Because I'm pretty sure in the house you probably have hundreds, but like what are your go-tos?
It's a few. I grabbed a few that I really like. You know, I'm always looking for something new too, by the way. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but I wanted to keep it kind of apropos since you're there in Bloomfield, New Jersey.
Yep.
In front of me, I have, and we had some of this a few weeks ago too, some Kings County bourbon.
Yes,
got this. Fortunately, my local liquor store, High Spirits, has it. I love pairing that with cigars. I'm also, I know you're going to be trying some of that. Is it Noble Oak?
Noble Oak, yes.
I like the Noble Oak a lot. I just happen to have close to me an American whiskey that's been finished in used Cabernet casks.
So that's
called Savage. And hey, look, there's red on both of our butts. Like a red theme here. I like it.
Mm-hmm. So this is one drinking right now is the Red Oak, which you said is finished in a cherry, in a port cask.
The port cask. Okay, port cask. This one's finished in cab. I like the way those layers really put themselves on a good bourbon. It almost feels like a cocktail in a bottle to some degree, not sweet, but a little of that wine note helps remind us of things like a Manhattan, because that's partly what a Manhattan is with the vermouth one. But I love this. This is what I'm sipping. I was just in Napa this past week. Mare Island is where Dave Finney's distillery is, and my good friend Jordan Vai is the master distiller. And of course, now, long story short, we were going to have this at Cigar Barbecue. There was a little delay in getting it, but next time I see you, I'm going to pour you some of this. This is Peerless. I got a little Peerless rye whiskey here. Yeah, I love the Peerless rye whiskey. Always at barrel strength. So those are a few I have in front of me, a few go-tos, but I just have so many that I enjoy.
Yeah. You know what? I really enjoyed the one that you brought that was It was, I believe it was like it had a purple label, and
Yeah.
it was in that wine cast.
Yes, I think we had the Cuvée Courage and Conviction.
Yeah, and that one, just the flavors and the notes just like punched you in the mouth the second you tasted it.
Made in Virginia.
Wow.
It's us American single malts. American single malts are becoming really popular. It's, rather than being corn or rye,
Yeah.
it's barley as a base. And yeah, they're actually they're fully aged. Actually, they're aging that one fully in a cuvee cask. They have one that they do, which is a blend, which is cuvee, sherry, and bourbon. That was the blue bottle we had.
Okay, yes. So, and the other one I really enjoyed was the Kings County Distillery, but
Oh,
it was the blue. It had a blue label on that one.
oh yeah, the blended. The blended's so
Yeah,
good. The
yeah.
blended one is
That
so
one
good.
was amazing.
And do you see the Kings County quite a bit in
So at the place I go to, they don't carry it. But so here's the good thing about it.
right.
It's I work in Manhattan, so it's maybe 40-minute train ride,
Not too far.
and I can go right to the distillery and pick it up right there.
It's
So
such a great place. Have you been to their tasting room?
no, I haven't.
I will connect you with the founder, good friend of mine, Colin. Great guy, just has an amazing cocktail program there too. They're using all New York ingredients, and a lot of these distilleries we're seeing not only in the city but in upstate, they're able to use what's called a farm distillery license to actually have a cocktail bar on site where they're using a certain percentage of New York ingredients
Yes.
in their cocktails. So it's been a great thing for the state of New York.
Yeah.
Really has.
So at my job we use I believe it's New York whiskey.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Yeah. So
Cool.
it's another New York based brand. And one of my coworkers, they actually went upstate. I believe they're in like the Hudson Valley area.
Right.
And, yeah, so they're in the Hudson Valley area, and they were there, and they were able to try everything that they had.
Oh man, you got the Hudson whiskey, you got Hudson House, which is another. We had the Hudson House
Yes.
bourbon and rye there too. So many good options. But I tell you, all of these, and I may pour myself something different here in a moment, but this red wine cask is really just playing so nicely against the SP 1014 Black. Those it's I always say red wine and chocolate.
Yes. Good.
You know how good a pairing that is. There's this
Uh-huh.
chocolate note here that goes so well with the red wine finish.
Yes.
What do you tell me what you like about the black, the SP 1014? I've
Oh,
only had a handful, by the way. Assange sent me on with some, but I
yeah.
smoked it twice in New York. This is my third or fourth one, I think.
So one of my favorite things about this cigar right here is the chocolate, and also too the hint of spice that you get when you smoke it. And then on top of that, and the flavors they change, but also too they get stronger of course as you smoke it. But I really love the cocoa. The cocoa is not overpowering, and then you get to get that nice pepper when you retrohale. You get a nice pepper.
Yeah. There's like a good undercurrent of spice.
Yeah.
That's it's just a little touch of that spice, like baking spices.
Yeah.
It's a very like I feel like there's a lot of culinary aspects to this cigar. I mean, it has a lot of flavors that you think about in like baking and or like you have this with a good steak. I mean, different things that come about.
Yeah.
It's like a culinary stick in the most amazing way.
It really is. But that's also the palette of Sanj and also Eladio Diaz, who
they've done so well. Eladio,
who went and blended the stick together. And for people that don't know, Eladio Diaz was the master blender for Davidoff for over 20 years.
Oh yeah,
maybe 30 years.
Talented guy. I mean,
it's crazy because he's probably forgotten more stuff about tobacco than we ever know.
I agree. And somehow he remembered enough for this because
exactly. Yeah. So well, and that's the thing too is but at the same time when you're able to put two amazing minds together, and they're able to sample and try and say, okay, how about we take some of this tobacco, mix it together, and see what we get. And I think the one thing was, Sanj, he wanted something very very similar to the 1014 black,
Right.
the original, because you got to remember he stopped blending them in 2008. He stopped making them because he kind of sourced himself out and he wasn't able to keep up with production. So he was like, let me just stop it. And then he came and we decided to come back with it. He was like, who do I use? And him and Eladio were very good friends, and they came together to make this blend. And he said, I want something very similar to the original. So when he went down there, he had the original black with him. Eladio smoked it, and he said, okay, no problem. I could
Got an idea of what he wanted, right?
exactly. And
He had
so
some of that original. He'd had it laid down in that humidor for a while, hadn't
oh
he?
wow, oh wow. Yeah, he still has a couple laying around in the shop. He still has a couple laying around.
This is so good, and it's again, we always say this, but you smoke this and you think this would be like at least a $40 or $50 smoke. I mean,
It really can be,
the
but
price is just so amazing. It's
yeah,
so affordable, and it's just giving us the best, the
but
best.
I think the biggest thing when it comes to something is he just wants to be able to put it at a price point where people can put the cigars in their hand. Like it's not something where it's gonna kill you. Where it's like, okay, man, like that cigar is $25.
Right.
Like okay, well, at this price point, I can get two of these, and then
Oh yeah.
both of them. And you also you feel like you're smoking something more expensive,
You really do.
which is the best part. And even on his SP Red, it's the same thing with that one. Like, and when me and Sanj, we sit down all the time and conversate, and that's one of the benefits that I have is being able to just learn from him firsthand. And he's another one that has forgotten more. He's
Right.
forgotten more than I would ever learn. So just to sit down with him and him break down the red and how he says, if you like Cuban cigars, the red is going to remind you of a Cuban cigar.
Yeah, and it does. It
Where
has.
where the black will fit more of a newer smoker's palate.
It
So,
is. It is. It's approachable, but yet great for enthusiasts,
uh-huh.
but great for novices. Yeah.
And that's the best thing.
And apparently, this from what I understand, um, the binder was aged. It's a Mexican San Andres binder aged in a used bourbon barrel.
Yes. Yeah.
It has
Yeah.
that little pop of that bourbon in
Yeah.
there. Thank you, Sanj. I'm
Mhm.
glad to
It's
tell you that.
amazing. It's there's
So it
it's
has
one
it
of my
has some.
favorites.
Yeah, I'm sorry. As you say, the claim to fame is it's the number of different places it pulls from is there's only a couple other cigars that have done this
Yeah.
ever, and one of them's like $500,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. Because Eladio, he well, don't quote me on this, but from what I do understand, he did blend the Odo Blanco.
That's what I'm believing. That's what I'm
And stuff.
trying to remember. Yeah,
And that one right there is the $500 cigar.
which I've not smoked one. Have you had
Uh,
one of those?
no, 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 no.
You and I are going to sit down and share one. I think,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, one day. So
We're going to do a blind tasting. But this
yeah,
no, this is so delicious. I'm loving this.
so
How are you liking it with your rye whiskey there? The
amazing. It's pairing perfectly. I love it. You
oh,
know,
it's so good.
my question for you is: so
Yeah.
when you have your whiskeys, do you have it neat, or do you add an ice cube to it?
It really depends. There's a couple reasons why people will I think three add ice cubes. The first is if it's they want to cool it down, right? If it's hot out, you really want some, and it's in perfect weather here today in southern Indiana. It's
Yeah, yeah,
border of Kentucky. It's
yeah.
60 degrees or so perfect. If it was warm, I might add an ice cube. The second reason is to dilute it, right? To dilute so that you can have it more sessionable. That way, if I'm having 120 proof whiskey and I'm like knocking these back, it can be a little lower proof. And
Exactly.
then really the third reason, and I think they can all three work together, is to really bring about those sweeter notes. So anytime something is cold, or even like cold pizza as an example I give, you have cold pizza in the mornings. Why? Well, maybe it's not the only thing you can find in your refrigerator if it was a good enough night. But the other reason is it's like a pastry. So it's like it's sweeter.
Yeah.
So anything colder is sweeter. So sometimes if I want those sweeter notes, I'll do it. I typically, if the weather's mild, moderate, I'll just do it neat. I like it neat, but I like cocktails. I like on the rocks. I like it all. If it's done right, I like
Yeah.
it all.
So going back, so you said you're on the border of Kentucky. So did you grow up in Kentucky?
A little bit in Kentucky,
Okay.
more in Indiana, but my family is mainly all from Kentucky. Part of my family is from Indiana. And really, right where I sit, looking that direction, we can see Kentucky. So we're really right on the border, and nice blend of the two. We get some wonderful bourbons in Indiana. Wonderful rye right up the road is another one I probably should have grabbed is Hard Truth rye whiskey sweet mash. Peerless is another sweet mash as well. We love Hard Truth. There's some other ones up towards Indianapolis. Hotel Tango doing amazing bourbons and ryes. Cardinal Spirits. In Bloomington doing some great work. And you've heard this MGP, where a lot of spirits are made and whiskey.
Yeah.
Some good whiskeys are sourced. Is also in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. So there's so much this region has to offer with the terroir, the water, and just a real heritage of making wonderful whiskeys and great grains too. So we're very blessed in Indiana and Kentucky both to have just some wonderful bourbons and ryes and other whiskeys.
One thing I wanted to ask you about was the secondary market,
Yes.
because the secondary market, because a lot of stuff is getting up priced now. So like when you're trying to find something like the what's it called now, after a couple of years, I can't think the name of it. It's the one with the horse on the top of it.
The Blantons.
Blanton's, yes.
Yeah.
So like when you try to get stuff like Blanton's and like rare stuff, it's very hard to find. And they'll go, and when you do find it, it'll be upsell. So last time I seen Blanton's for 120 in a liquor store.
It can get up there. Yeah.
And when I look at it online, if you could find it online, MSRP is $60.
Yeah, it really depends on the market. And it used to be, and again, I say it like I've been around for a while, and I guess I have on the bourbon scene. 10 years ago, it was like 40, 30, 40, and then nobody even knew what it was. They're like, what's that? I'll try it.
Yeah.
But then the whole, and again, I love the Buffalo, a lot of, but actually,
yeah.
Blanton's is not even owned by Buffalo Trace, but they have the rights to distribute it. Everything that's aged there does have a magical quality. The Weller, the Blanton's Eagle Rare,
Yeah.
little easier to find in some markets. It's really good. Now, is it worth $120? I don't know. It's hard to know. I mean, if you love it, it is. I don't really want to pay that myself, but I think it's very good. I love it. It's what's called the original single barrel bourbon. It came out in '83. As at that point in time, bourbon was really on the decline, and I don't know what it sold for in '83, but I probably wasn't even close to $30. It probably sold for 20 or less. But it was one of those that began the single barrel movement, which really more and more distilleries took advantage of in a great way. They capitalized on the theme of a single barrel. In the early 2000s, we saw more and more distilleries saying, hey, you have a bar, you have a hotel, let's get a single barrel for you. Come out and pick it and really have it be something that tastes like what we would typically do in this bottle. If you drink anything we're drinking, well, I have a single barrel Peerless, but most anything we drink is all blended. So it's from usually one distillery, and Maker's Mark or Beam or whoever, they want to blend something that's consistent.
Yeah.
So that if I'm drinking it in Indiana or I go to Tennessee, it's the same, about the same usually. But single barrels really help restaurants and bars put a really their own spin on something. And sometimes they can taste very similar to that original bottle, and sometimes they taste very unique. Same what I call DNA of flavor, but that's partly what I love about the Peerless single barrels is they really find some that are all really good, but they really taste different from the original release. And that's why I love what they do.
I'm going to butcher the name of this one.
It's okay.
I think it's called Whalers or Whalers.
The Peerless or the which one?
The Whalers.
The Weller.
Wellers.
Yeah, or Wellers. Yeah, Weller.
Yes, Wellers.
W.L. Weller, 12-year-old, and other ones. Yeah.
Okay. And so I hear on the secondary market, they have a purple bottle that it's hard to find.
Right.
but on secondary market, it goes for like $300 on the secondary market if you could find it.
There are some of these. So there may be one that's kind of a, and I was just looking it up here so I can see. There is one that's kind of purplish that's a full proof. So it's a straight from the barrel. It does go pretty high. And again, it all depends where you're at, how high it goes. So
Okay.
that's the kind of the beauty of, well, the beauty, I guess, if you're in a control state, you get it for probably what it should be sold for. But I guess the market really controls everything. I mean, if there's enough demand and if people want to pay it, great. I mean, I want people to be able to have great bourbon that's also limited edition if they want to try, but I don't want them to have to pay a fortune for it. But that's the great part about bourbon. There's still bourbons that are 30 to 50 bucks.
That are amazing.
Less that are very good.
So
that you can find.
Man, I was just thinking of this one bourbon. So that I can't, well, I haven't found it yet, but everybody that I've had 4 or 5 people that I know that are big whiskey drinkers. They talk about New Drift.
It's New Riff is very nice. Not too far from Cincinnati. It's still in Kentucky. Very good stuff. Great single barrels. They have a malted rye, which is very nice. Very unique, kind of nice chocolatey flavor. I like it. Have you have a bottle? Have you tried it?
I still haven't found the bottle yet. That's
maybe they can. We'll have to try to see if we can find one for you in Bloomfield. I think make great bourbons and ryes both. I think they're doing great work at New Riff, and I love what they do. I think it's very unique. It has a nice, really approachable flavor, but some nice complexities.
So, so people know we both. Well, they both know we know Sanj, but there's one. There's one other guy that we do know that is, well, to say the life of the party is kind of an understatement. Because no matter what, like you're gonna see him, and that is Matty Rock.
Of course. Well, look, I'm so blessed to have Matty as not only such a close friend, but also the co-host that we've done together for over 3 years of Cigar Saturdays, and we started that really just as a way to say, hey, let's do something fun on Saturdays. Every Saturday, get great guests. And originally, Sanj was one of our original guests. We had wrestlers, actors from Cobra Kai, musicians, artists, like Mario, of course. So many excellent people. We're always meeting more barbecue folks. And we do it every Saturday. Usually it's at 8 p.m. Eastern. Sometimes if we're both traveling, we have to adjust that. But yeah, Matty's he's such a great soul and always a lot of fun. There's nobody quite like him, and we always have a great time.
Nobody like Matty. Because he's a big teddy bear, man.
He really is. Yeah, he really is. Truly, in every single way.
Yeah.
Every single way. We met at it was then called the IPCPR in Vegas. I think maybe 5-6 years ago. And we kept in touch, and then I saw him again, and then we started talking about what can we do when the pandemic hit. And I think it's, these, we think about these shows that are born out of the pandemic are these ideas, and that's really what it was. And the cool thing is Cigar Saturday allowed me to continue to do great work with Sanj and Matty and do some of these events, and Matty and I will do more events and meet great people like you. So it's a great family.
Yeah, it really is amazing. I seen the other day that you were with Barbara from Shark Tank.
Well, I got to do the story, and thank you for seeing that. Trey Zoller, my good friend, founder of Jefferson's, co-founder of Jefferson's, he and his dad founded it many years ago. They're doing this wonderful project to help inspire small business owners to, and I wrote about it, but I want to take a look here because it's an entrepreneurial initiative. And they are doing it in honor of one of Trey Zoller's relatives that was a woman who was a moonshiner. And they've released this rare bourbon that's a unique blend of 5 aged whiskeys that I haven't reviewed yet. I'm going to be reviewing soon with Trey, but they're doing this great thing called the Marion McLean Entrepreneurial Fund Contest. And what people will get, well, the winner will get $20,000 to help their business and a congratulatory call from Barbara Cochran, and I think something else from Trey Zoller. And again, if you go to bourbonblog.com, you can learn how to enter it. But what a cool thing. And I'd love that they're doing a bourbon in honor of it, and that Trey and Barbara, Trey's such an entrepreneurial, fun spirit in the bourbon world, and has such an amazing palate. He was the one that created Jefferson's Ocean, which I was fortunate enough to be the first to review and to write about. And it's a cool thing they're doing.
You know what? I seen it and I was like, should I get it? Do I trust it?
Yeah.
And I was like, nah. And I picked up the monkey shoulder instead.
I'd like the monkey shoulder a lot. Do try the Ocean. The Ocean is really nuanced. I think that if I was going to do the Ocean with a cigar, I would probably do they do a barrel proof version of the Ocean. I think it would, the flavors are so nuanced. To get a barrel proof version of it, it will help to really not overtake, but match some of the flavors of a cigar. But try the Ocean by itself. They do a Pritchard Hill wine barrel finished, which is beautiful. They also, just their Jefferson Reserve is just so complex. It's 7 to 15-year-old bourbon blended, and it's, most markets it's only a $50 price point, and it's excellent. They did another one, you'll appreciate this, that was a New York edition of the Ocean, and it was New York water that proofed down. So usually you have a bourbon, you're going to proof it down to what proof you want it. They use New York water in honor of the great bagels and pizzas and all the things Hudson Water is known for. Look for the New York edition. It's very nice.
So my question now is, like, if you can sit down and have a drink with 3 people, who would those be?
Oh, that's so tough. Oh, wow. Wow. I guess like people that would actually still be living. Maybe we should stick with that, because maybe it would still happen. I've been pretty fortunate to, in my travels, to actually have some drinks with some great people that, that are just the distillers that helped to actually make whiskey on the lines. Now, I'll tell you, this past year, I did an event that was raising funds for St. Jude's, and I got to meet, I'm a big fan of REM from the 80s, 90s, great, rock band. I got to meet Mike Mills, who was the lead guitarist, and I actually did have a drink with him and got to interview him. I got to hand him a bottle of bourbon, and so that was a pretty cool thing I could check off my list. Wow. Who else would I pick? Oh man, this is tough, because I want to make sure it's the right people. I would probably, maybe I would pick somebody that really needs a good drink that day. Whoever that might be, just to put a smile on their face. Not saying alcohol is what does it. And as a third person, maybe it would be fun to meet a new distiller that's doing something really new and cool and different, and give them feedback. I don't know. I mean, there's probably no end of celebrities and actors that I think would be fun. And again, I've been very lucky. One of my favorite moments with Maddie on Cigar Saturday was we got to have actor Martin Kove, who plays Sensei John Kreese on Cobra Kai and Karate Kid. That'd probably be, I mean, he doesn't drink, but he smokes. So I would say his son were a great interview, and that's up on our YouTube channel. That was amazing, because we got to hear him say "sweep the leg" and all that. So, but I'm going to think about that. I want to ask you the same thing. Who would your 3 be?
It's very interesting, because I've been listening to. I'm a big sports guy.
Yes.
So, I've been listening to Stephen A. Smith's book.
Okay, cool.
And I would love to have just 2 hours with Stephen A.
Nice.
And just talk about the transition that he's made, and just going from being fired from ESPN to now being the top paid analyst on ESPN, and just always being available. I would love to meet Deion Sanders, and man, And if I and you know what, and the last person is an author. He created the book, the 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene.
Wow.
So in his books, he has a lot of history in his books, and I love that aspect of the history in his books that ties
Wow.
into just the everyday life. So he has I believe 5 books, which is The Art of War, the 33 Strategies of War. He made a book with 50 Cent called The 50th Law. He has another book called Mastery, and then he has The Art of Seduction, and
Wow.
then he also has The Art of Human Nature. I feel like I'm missing one after Seduction. Mastery.
Wow. That's
So,
cool.
so in the book of Mastery, he actually sat down with pretty much everybody that has mastered their craft.
Oh, nice.
So he spoke to people like Freddie Roach, who is a famous boxing trainer, who
Right.
who was a trainer of Manny Pacquiao. He spoke to I can't get his name, but I know it's Ashley. I don't know if it's Ashley's his first name or his last name, but he's a grandmaster in chess. And he spoke to him just about the mindset when it comes to chess and how he got into chess and stuff like that. So I think that would be just an amazing sit down conversation, just because of the fact of the people that he met, but also just the research that he's done when it comes to history. Because I'm a huge history buff. Like I love history because it tells a story, and you're like, man, that was kind of crazy. Like one of my favorite people all the time was like Genghis Khan,
Wow.
and with Genghis Khan, it's kind of like it shows that, and I always take this when I think of Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. Like his son is like second in command. The whole family runs it. He doesn't have anybody else doing anything. Everything is family ran. But the sons have kids, so they're going to be used to that pampered life. I don't think the issues are going to come in to the Dallas Cowboys until the great grandkids come in, because they're like, I don't care about this. I want to do other stuff. I'm pampered, you know, and that right there might be the fall of every great dynasty, because that's what happened with the Mongolians. It
Right.
it wasn't his sons, it was his great grandsons and his lineage after that kind of destroyed the Mongolian Empire.
I love what you're saying about history, Innocent. I think that one of my favorite parts about both bourbon and other whiskeys and cigars is that they do tell a story of history
Yeah,
without us even realizing. Because whenever we put something, whether it's a cigar that's been aging for a while or a bourbon that's been aged for 4 years, 10 years, maybe you could take something off the shelf and it's one of those dusty bottles that's 15 years old. Somehow we are reconnecting with a flavor. We may not be able to talk to the people that made it, or maybe we can. In the case of Eladio, maybe Sanj goes back and talks to Eladio. What was this like when you made this? Whatever it might be. But we're able to connect with a piece of history that we can read it or see it on screen, but we're tasting it because we know that it's taken some time to age.
well,
And also paying homage to the fact that we always did enjoy in America whiskey and cigars, and now there's a rebirth of both.
yeah, and I think the most amazing thing is when you do the research and you hear about the story of whiskey, and you hear about how you know pretty much the USDA had to kind of put, like, the US government kind of had to put restrictions because people would sell just brown water and
Right, right.
whiskey, you
That's
know
true.
and,
Yeah.
and that's when the US said, no, you guys have to label your bottles, and everything in that bottle has to be in the bottle.
Right. No, there was yeah, there's been so much evolution, and now everything's coming full circle. And I love the fact that more people of different, legal drinking ages and legal
Uh-huh.
smoking ages are able to really have more access to great cigar shops, more unique whiskeys on the shelves.
Yeah.
I like watching a lot of old Look, I like a lot of new TV shows too. I mentioned Cobra Kai. I love Stranger Things. There's so many that I enjoy, but I like watching a lot of old TV shows
Yeah.
as well, where people were actually smoking on screen more often. You
Yeah.
see that now, but it's been more taboo in recent years. But in some ways, I feel like all of these elements help us have a connection
Well,
to the past.
when
Where we
cigars first
connect over
started, people would smoke candela,
Mm,
you know. And one thing that I learned was people would chew their cigars.
they would chew on them,
They would chew on them, yeah,
right?
because the candela is a lot sweeter. So the candela wrapper,
Not chewing on it.
yes.
Yeah.
So they would sit there and have it in their mouth, and we and
Hello, you doing? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
because it's sweet. So it would so what they would say, so what Son said, it would go from back to front because people would chew their cigars.
Right. That's amazing. How it's all evolved, and and I feel like, I hope that in a society where, it seems like, and we don't want it to be, um, you know, there's some real division in America. I hope that
Yeah.
cigars and whiskey will help us all unite and
Well,
find some common
you know
ground.
what? I feel like when you're in a bar,
Right,
politics doesn't matter. If you're having a great drink, it doesn't matter what their religious beliefs are, what the
right.
politics are. You're gonna be able to find the common ground in that
That's
drink.
right.
And it's the same thing with a cigar. If you both like a cigar, or even if another person is smoking, it's like, oh, well, what are you smoking? That right there is a comp. It's a
It-
it's a great leveler. It's because the person you're talking to could be a doctor, but you don't. But that doesn't matter because you're sitting there and you're talking about cigars,
That's right.
and you're talking about the region it's from, what regions you like. Like some people might like Nicaraguan tobacco, some people might like Dominican tobacco, some people might
That's
like
right.
Honduras. And it's like, well, it's like, oh, well, why do you like it so much? Well, it has a certain note that I like that comes from that region. But
Absolutely.
so one thing I want to get into too, like speaking of regions, do you feel like when it comes to whiskey, like the different regions have different notes as far as something from the West Coast to the East Coast?
I do. It's a good question. Stylistically, I think that it has to do with the water source, because so much of what's in the glass is water. It's the minerality in the water.
Hmm.
Um, it's we were just looking earlier today. I was talking with a gentleman from Colorado. We were talking about Colorado bourbons. The minerality in Colorado is huge because it's actually traveling down snowmelt mountain water down a mountain, and it's picking up minerals through streams, rocks, creeks, everything. So you have a great minerality, which emulates a lot of ways what Kentucky and Indiana bourbon is known for, limestone water. The grains in New York, I mean, I like, as I mentioned, I have a few favorites like the Kings County, what Hudson House is doing, but they all have this similar texture of grain, of water, and it's something that has a very thick and very complex element. That's partly why I like New York whiskey so much. There's the great thickness and
Okay.
complexity.
Wow.
So I think we're seeing more and more unique elements from different regions that are coming into play because of the grains, because of the water, and maybe just the styles too that are being experimented with. But no matter what, I'm always tasting new bourbons and ryes, which amaze me. And I think, well, it's not like maybe what I grew up with, a bourbon from Kentucky, but that's part of what I love about it, is it's something different that nobody wants to have the same thing over and over again. That's why I love that it's happening everywhere.
So they say the bourbon blog. So are you into whiskeys also?
A little bit of everything. I love scotches. I love Irish. I love Japanese whiskeys.
So Japanese whiskeys are very interesting to me. They are
They
very
are.
interesting to me.
Yeah.
I had my first Japanese whiskey. It was like a $32 bottle of a Japanese whiskey, but it had a weird kind of taste to it. It was very interesting.
It's a little scotchy. Do you remember which one it was by chance?
I think it's like hibachi or something like that.
Okay, it's maybe a little scotchy too. A
Yeah.
lot of what they're using is barley, aged in, sometimes some used plum wine casks. Sometimes other times they use barrels. Um, I had one earlier in the week at a tasting I did when I was traveling called the Hakashu 12, which
Yes.
is
Okay.
very lovely. It's done from a distillery that's dates back not real far, 1974, because the Japanese have been making whiskey for a long time.
Hmm.
But I do love the Hakashu, Yamazaki. Some of these are getting tougher to find. One that I don't know if it's in every market, but it is a very nice younger whiskey is called the Nobushi.
Okay. Yes, I heard about that. Yes.
And it's very good. It's aged in used bourbon barrels, and it's from two different distilleries. They don't disclose what the distilleries are, but it's floral, but it has some nice smoke to it. And it's, again, not impossible to find right now, and it's called Nobushi. And it's very good. It's very good for what it is. I like finding some that, again, that I can find again and again that
Yeah.
that don't cost a fortune, though. The Hibiki and some of these we used to find for $60. The Hibiki sometimes is 100, sometimes it's 300. Um, I like them all, though. I think it's
So,
very nice structure of whiskey in the
so
mouthfeel.
when the owners come in,
Yes.
we have a bottle of a Japanese whiskey, but it's aged like 18 years.
Wow, I bet that's good.
So like at the hotel for one shot, it's like 450 for one shot.
Oh, it's serious business because you're in Manhattan, aren't you, doing this?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like 450 for one shot. And they'll just say just bring a bottle. And so that bottle is just for them. Like nobody else orders it when they come in and they're having, dinner. That's what they'll drink.
Amazing.
Yeah. Like one thing I wanted to touch on too was just
Sure.
the Johnny Walker Blue. So do you feel like the price point on the Johnny Walker Blue, the Johnny Walker Sinatra, because the Sinatra is around $200. Do you feel like those ones are worth the price point?
Well, interestingly enough, I did an event with some Scotch lovers several years ago in Texas, and they wanted to do a blind tasting of the Johnny Walker Black Label, I believe it is,
Yeah.
which is one that's, I think $50,
Yeah.
something like that a bottle. And the blue, to see which, from their group, because there were some Scotch lovers, there were some people that were novices, a variety of different levels of expertise. But what matters is your palate at the end of the day. And we did a blind tasting of the blue, which I think, what is it, a bottle, 300, 400?
Yeah. They like to see it's up there.
It's up there. And also the black, which again is not too bad for the price. And actually, and they kind of had predicted this. People like the black better blind. Now, again, this was one sampling. No one says that it's the ultimate conclusion, but I feel like doing experiments like that amongst your friends, not to trick them and say, I got you, I mean, you can if you want for fun, I suppose, but just to see what you like. Have your wife, your husband, your partner, your friends pour something for you. I often have my wife do that, and sometimes I know some of these really well because I've drank them a lot, but some I don't drink maybe but a couple times a year. I think blind samplings can be nice. I do like the blue. I think there are some nice kind of creamy, delicate notes in it, and it's very good, but I like the black as well. And I can see why an audience might have a majority. I think it was like maybe 65% versus 35%. But the blue is very good and goes back to, the whole thing of, if I tell you something is going to be expensive or rare, there are these pleasure zones in our brain that go off that say, oh, this is a very rare cigar or whiskey. And all of a sudden we will actually enjoy it on a higher level.
Yeah.
Versus if I say, what, this bottle of bourbon's $20, and not that it's bad, but it happens. We're all influenced by that.
Speaking of a around that price point,
Yeah.
Four Roses.
Four Roses is very good.
Four Roses gets brought up a lot for
Four Roses is great.
They say like a cheap whiskey. It's very good for the price point.
I'll give you another one. And again, one that I've just kind of experimented with recently. It's a brand that's been around for a while, but now if you're looking for a higher proof one, and I'm not going to say it's easy to find in every market, but it will go pretty cheaply, is the Benchmark Full Proof barrel strength. Benchmark's 8 is good. The bonded is very nice. I would say 30, give or take a bottle. I like the bonded. I just did it in a tasting yesterday. It's very nice, but the full proof benchmark is 125 proof. To me, and I'm not saying it's exactly like this, but a lot of people really enjoy that Stag Junior, which is tougher to find. It's from the same distillery. Stag Junior usually clocks in most releases around 130 proof, never drinks like it. That benchmark full proof drinks kind of close, similar in flavor to the Stag Junior, and it's only about 25-30 a bottle.
Yeah. Wow, that's
one to look for.
That, you know what? So Stag Junior, that right there is going to be
good
on the list.
But it's kind of hard to find. I do these, so if a higher proof one, I might do a splash of water, but there still are some like this.
So do you feel like a splash of water opens up the flavor notes?
It can. It depends on, I mean, if it's that high a proof, I don't mind trying it meat, but I like to do a splash of water.
Okay.
Or else it could be, I don't know how many I'll drink, but it can hit you depending on what you're trying to eat.
Yeah. You know, it's like the one thing is when you're into bourbon, you'll just end up down a rabbit hole of just different stuff. And but it's the same thing with cigars.
You do, yeah.
You go down a rabbit hole, because my saying is I'll try everything one time. I'll try everything once. If I don't like it,
give it a try.
I won't go back to it. But that's how you're able to discover new gems.
That's right. And we can all of us, I mean, whether we're experts, I mean, they've done studies about this, sommeliers, wine sommeliers, whiskey panels, we can all be influenced by stories.
Yes.
And that's okay. I mean, that's part of the beauty of being able to talk to a group. But getting down to those blind tastings helps. And when we really know with something like the SP1014, we know this is so good for what it is.
And it really is. And I really enjoy, the SP, the one thing that besides the SP10, the industry killer. So Sanj calls it the RS88, the Habano.
Right.
The RS88 Habano. I have not. So I've sent a few to a couple friends. I've given away a lot. Everybody that has smoked it loves the RS88.
It's good.
Because the flavor notes in that one is, you need to text Sanj and say, "Hey, can I get some Habanos?" and of course, he'll send you some Habanos. Those are, like, to me, his best stick.
Yeah, he's done so well with those.
And,
all of those creative.
And so
I like those a lot.
Yeah, and so Eladio they also blended the RS88 together also.
Wow.
So, but he has a few other things in the works with Eladio. The one thing is, when you talk to Sanj and you hear about his blending history, and you hear about who he blended for and who he knows, you're like, that's insane.
It is.
Because Steve Saka, whenever he's in town, he always stops by Sanj's and sits there and have a cigar and shoot the shit with him. But that's pretty much he's so respected and knows everybody in the business. If you're in Jersey, you have to go to Sanj's Smoke Shop.
Oh yeah, no, it's such a very special place, and I was lucky enough to build a little extra time into my trip a few weeks ago and stop by Sanj's, and that's where I tried the SP1014 Black for the first time. I'd been excited to try it. I loved it.
Yeah.
We had a little espresso, a little whiskey, and it just was perfect. I mean, this is really, it's such a perfect stick that hits on a lot of levels, right? The well-balanced. I often say, if I'm going to come back to something that I enjoy, whether it's a bourbon like the Jefferson's Ocean or like some of these, and taste something new each time, this does it. I mean, even, here's where I'm at, right?
Yeah. So here's the funny thing. So when I first asked you about you in person for the first time last year, you gave me a whiskey that was it had jalapeno in it.
Oh yeah, the one from Kings County, yeah.
Yes.
And I love it.
And so, like, I had people try it and they go, "This is insane."
grapefruit jalapeno
Yes, grapefruit jalapeno whiskey.
whiskey. Yeah, unaged, but has it's beautiful.
It,
It's very
it
delicate.
really is,
Yeah.
and people just like, I'm like, all right, like I need something for myself. I can't just keep pouring you guys, you know. And
And now you become a fan of Kings County, which
yeah,
that's
you know
why
what?
I've taken a lot of
It
these smaller brands around to show people.
well, the small, like I feel like the smaller brands, they're not they're never gonna sell like a Buffalo Trace or Maker's Mark, but in the Northeast, they'll be able to move bottles.
Right.
And they'll go, well, and also this, when people are building their cocktails, that's another thing. Cocktails have turned into kind of a science experiment.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So at my job, like we have one that has like yams in it.
It has what?
Yams.
Oh, yams.
Yes.
What do you put in? Tell me about that.
So I believe it's a mixture of it's a mixture of like right, I can't think of it right off my head, but I believe it has simple syrup, yams, which is a double sweetener, a bourbon, and I think it's topped off with like lime juice.
Amazing.
But
Cool.
but these guys, they're like scientists now, because they're just experimenting with anything.
Well,
I
you're taking
I
something you wouldn't think of, like yams, and
yeah,
doing something amazing.
like yams, and then they use yams and carrots, and they'll go and it's like a cucumber based, whisk, like cocktail drink now. And I had one last year that was like an apple based, whiskey. I was like, this is amazing. But here's a problem. It's sweet. So you don't understand the alcohol content. So you end up having 4 or 5 of them that next thing before you know it, you're crawling out the bar.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's
Because you don't have any idea.
tried several. I got to try that one. I think it just goes to show that no matter what you're doing with a cocktail or with a blend or anything,
Yeah.
if you do it right, you're going to do it right,
Yeah.
and you're going to actually create something that is unique. There's a distillery in Sonoma County Distilling, that does a French truffle mushroom infused rye every year,
Wow.
and it's beautiful. I mean, it sounds kind of like this is crazy and just doing this for the effect, but no, it's actually really good. And so, if you do anything right, it's done right. As long as it's something that you can actually drink, or eat. Why not? Why not give it a try and build on it?
I know in Long Island we have a place that I'm gonna once again I'm gonna butcher the name, but it is a copperage or a cooperage.
Right. Yeah, you got it. Cooperage. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's a cooperage.
Yeah.
And they go and they make the barrels right there.
Wow.
So they make the barrels there, they heat them up, and then they go up, and then they add their bourbon to it, which was pretty amazing.
That's amazing.
And so at the event, there was another guy from Austin, and he brought up,
Oh yeah, from our event. Yeah.
yes, and
Jacob Lerma, great guy. Yeah.
yes, he was just like you. He knew his stuff. He was
Very great guy in the industry. We had a lot of fun at that event, and he brought some nice Texas bourbons.
Yes. So he brought the I believe it's Garrison's.
Excellent bourbon from Texas. Yes.
Yeah. So he brought the Garrison's, and then he brought one. I'm not gonna remember the name of it. I'm not gonna remember the name of it at all. But that one right there, the flavors in that one just punch you. I was like, what is this?
It was big, huh?
Yeah. So it came in a tall bottle, round bottle, and it was kind of doing, the bottle had a lot going on. But
Right.
he goes, oh, so these are rare, and I believe that was also based in a wine cast. And
Wow.
once you tasted it, you're like you're kind of like, wow.
It hits you on a lot of different levels, which a lot of
Exactly.
these things
Yes.
do. Yeah,
So
and that's why the barrels make such a big difference. That there's only, we tell you, there's only so many things you can do to a recipe, the
yeah,
water, the aging, but the barrels or the secondary cask that they're put in.
So the barrel process, like that's one thing also too. So is that a big thing? So like let's just say you use like a like if you're in Canada, you have access to maple.
Mm.
So if you're able to use maple wood in your as far as like going in as far as like aging it in maple wood, would that make a huge difference as far as the different type of wood
Oh
that
yeah,
you use?
yeah. Different types of wood make a huge difference because at the end of the day, what's it doing? It's swimming in and out of that barrel,
Yeah,
in and out of that char. Some great experiments have been done with maple, even with like casks that have held maple syrup.
yeah.
And our buddies at Hudson and my good friend Ralph Lorenzo was there for a little while, the co-founder of Hudson Whiskey did one several years ago, which has been, copied in a beautiful
Yeah.
way. But they took, I think it was a rye whiskey, and they let the maple syrup company, even in, I think it was in Vermont, have it, the maple syrup in it because it had the rye whiskey in it. Then they sent it back to Hudson, put another rye whiskey back in it. So it's really, going even back and forth a few times, sharing barrels with collaborations has become a great thing that a lot of distilleries have done.
So now just going back to regions, like what do you like what regions do you think have the best woods for aging whiskey and to get the most flavor out of?
A lot of barrels from U.S. barrels,
Yeah.
Kentucky bourbons, other bourbons. A lot of them are coming from Missouri. There's a lot of barrel companies in Missouri. I believe Kansas as well. A lot of them from the Midwest. They're finding trees from this region. But those have been, again, I'm sure they're going into other regions because there have become these shortages of barrels.
Yeah.
The last few years, barrels have gotten more expensive because a lot more craft distilleries are wanting to use them. But I think really experimenting with wood from different regions is something that is being done so well. Even Whistle Pig, one of their projects uses barrels that come from trees that are close by to Whistle Pig in Vermont.
You know what? So I seen a bottle of Whistle Pig, and I
Yeah,
and I ended up picking the Maker's 46 instead of the Whistle Pig.
right.
And when I told the guys that are big whiskey guys, they go, "Oh, you should have chose the whiskey pig." You know?
Oh, look, I like them both. I mean, I think Whistle Pig 10-year-old rye whiskey is amazing. The 6-year-old piggyback is beautiful too. I love the staves, the stave projects, the single barrel expressions that are done by restaurants and bars, and even some one-offs by Maker's Mark are beautiful. I like Maker's 46 a lot. I was lucky enough to be the first to write about it years ago when it came out. Um, they did a whole lot of different experiments, but it was the 46th one they did with staves from a cooperage there, that had been basically set out in the sun. They've done some different things to it, stick it down in the barrel. And really what you're doing is you're reactivating some flavors in bourbon and adding a whole new flavor to it. Same type of experiment's been done in Scotland with Compass Box. They've done some as well. So whether it's the actual barrel you put it in or you're taking the stave and you're putting it inside the barrel, or really what's happening is, you have the barrel and the head of the barrel, they're putting that actual type of wood on the tops of the heads of the barrel.
So we spoke a lot about bourbons. So what are some like underrated besides the big boys in the whiskey?
Yeah.
What are some ones that you would recommend to people to try if they can find it?
I mean, there's so many. I would say, first of all, wherever you're watching or listening to this from, um, find something that's local and really see what they're doing, especially if they're making their own, and see what it says about your region. But as far as different regions go, smaller ones we talked about, Kings County, I love.
Yeah.
Peerless is still a fairly small one, but growing a lot in the whiskey industry. I love what Bardstown Bourbon Company is doing. It's a name that's growing, that's out there. I really think that there's so many interesting ones being done in California, in Texas,
Yeah, Texas. Yeah.
small makers of
You know,
different
I
bourbons.
think I think Texas takes a lot of stuff and they just elevate everything to another level
Yeah.
because And Texas is one of those places where it's like barbecue. They take barbecue to next.
Oh yeah.
Then it's like now it's whiskey and bourbon. They take that and they're now taking that to the next level because
Tennessee, there's so many good ones in Tennessee,
yeah,
small distilleries. There's actually more distilleries in Tennessee than Kentucky, and there's more
really,
and more popping up in Tennessee.
wow,
Like that. Well, and again, what Peg Leg Porker's doing with his bourbon,
yes, yeah.
and I think he's going to have some new ones at some point coming out in the near future too. His are just perfect with barbecue. What do you think of those? Was it he did ribs a few weeks ago
Oh,
too?
he did ribs and
So
his
good.
his barbecue sauce.
Oh
Oh, man, it's second to the best part is so I go back later on in the day, and his wife is running the station,
oh yeah yeah.
and his wife was the one that suggested me to go get his business card, and
Oh my gosh, it's so
you must
funny.
read it from front to back,
And it said like all kinds of things.
all
He
kinds of things. It was like extra.
Oprah has a quote about him. And do you
Yeah,
have it close by? I don't have it. Do you have it close by to you?
it's like yeah, yeah, I have it right in my wallet. Like I went and showed it to everybody at my job, and everybody at my job was literally there, like crying, laughing.
Oh, he's funny guy. Great bourbons, great barbecue. We love
So
the guys from Pig Beach too. Everybody.
let's see if I can if
Oh,
I
do you have it there?
yeah, trying to block it, but like well you can see Kerry a little bit,
Right.
and I think hold on, let me move this mic and maybe that might help out.
You might be able to see it a little bit, or just read to us what's
Oh,
on there. I
okay,
was going to see if I.
yeah. So on Kerry's card, and so it says used cars, real estate, whiskeys, manure, nails, barbecue, fly swatter,
Uh,
racing forms, zipper bags, charcoal, and bullets. Then it goes, and then he says, "Wars fought, wars fought, revolution started, uh, assassinations plotted, executions verified, tents, uh, tent revivals, tigers tamed, bars imploded, lady satisfier, which is the best part of it,
yeah.
government's ruins, and exorcisms.
He's something else. He really is something else. And
Carrie is something. He is second to none. And then
he's a great experience. He really
on
is.
the back of the card it says, Kerry Pringle is a goddamn good looking man. Oprah.
Yeah. I'm sure she said that. I'm pretty sure she said that about
Yeah.
him.
And then it says, I don't think we could have won the war without him. Ronald Reagan.
Right.
He is the most interesting man in barbecue. When his ass was 19 years old, he changed the face of professional barbecue. Bulletproof tiger. But so from what I found out about, they said that Kerry is like one of the godfathers of Tennessee barbecue.
Yeah, he really is. He's done so well and just done so many great things, and he's
You
so
know,
much.
I had no idea that there was I don't know if it's Arkansas or Alabama white sauce, which is a mayonnaise based barbecue sauce.
Oh yeah, the Alabama white sauce. I think they
Yeah,
call it, depending on where you're at, Alabama, or I think that's what they call it. I
yeah,
love that. It's great for chicken or even sometimes fish. Uh,
really.
yeah, I mean, I even put my French fries in it. If you get the right place, like okay, I'll dip my fries in this. The white sauce is beautiful.
Yeah,
I love white sauces, or the mayonnaise based. I think they call
yes,
it.
yeah. It's a mayonnaise based barbecue sauce.
It's
That was
good.
one way.
And I don't exactly know what all's in it. Spices, maybe
Yeah,
even hint of mustard. Um, I like dips a lot. I like
yeah,
just you give me a bunch of dips and I'll try the barbecue or even my fries in them.
yeah. And
Back when I
he
lived in
does.
Idaho, there was a thing called fry sauce too that was like mayonnaise and ketchup mixed together that I love. It's
Yeah.
good.
Also
You're making me hungry.
up here in New York, we call that mayo ketchup.
Mayo. Okay, so
Yeah.
it's not wild how we all have these different names.
Mayo cat or something like that. We call it something weird up here. So, and like like it was such a great event to be able to bring the bourbon, cigars, and barbecue together. And Ed does an amazing
Ed
job.
Randolph and Noel, the whole
Yeah,
team at Handsome Devil, just
Handsome,
amazing barbecue. And they all did something from their own region, from different
yeah.
countries. They're all from. I love what they did. It was just, and it just gets better and better every year, and more
Well,
people every year
his
too.
sausages were, I've been
Oh,
into it, and I was just like, wow. Like I've been into it, and I go, oh shit, and everybody's like, what happened? I go, this is like one of the best sausages that I've ever had because it was like it had jalapeno in it, so it had like a little hint of spice. It wasn't overboard. And then they had another guy who did the chicken. And
oh, the ninja,
yeah,
the
and
barbecue ninja. He actually got like a flamethrower out.
yes, the barbecue
Those
and
chicken wings.
the
Oh,
his chicken wings were amazing. And
so good.
and
Oh my
he
god.
and he's also a regional champion, in barbecue.
From Mississippi, I think he's
Yeah,
based.
man.
Such good barbecue ninja. Those chicken wings, I love them.
And you know what? And that's a great name for him because like you see him there, and he's there with this big blowtorch, just sitting there, you know, like searing his chicken, and that's a stick, and it's amazing. You know, like
It was good,
it
really good.
it was so good. You know,
It was paced. We had to really take our time with it. Have a sip, have a smoke, eat.
er,
I mean, if only every Saturday could be that good,
you
we
know
would be
what?
in real trouble.
If every Saturday could be like that, I'll listen. Like I would go to work and just be looking forward to Saturdays. That would be like my Saturday like go to. Like I would be like the happiest person in the world. I'm like, yes, like I'm going to the barbecue event. Like it doesn't matter how much I gotta pay. Like I know I'm gonna get good food,
The
good drink,
barbecue.
and the
Well,
dessert
and
desserts were
hopefully
off
we
the
can all
chain.
do that. If everyone needs something to look forward to and that brings the world together, have cigars, barbecue, and bourbon every Saturday. I mean, we should all do that probably more. Even if we did it one Saturday a month,
Yeah,
ordered some great barbecue, brought it home. I mean, some places allow you to smoke outside, but have it all. I think that's what we should try to do more of in
you know,
2023.
one thing I wonder about, because I believe Buffalo Trace sold themselves. I think it's like one big company that's buying out all of these bourbon companies. So
There's
so
more
so
of that
how
happening. Yeah.
yeah, so how do you feel about that?
Well, I think that I want to always see some bourbon companies that are owned by families. I think that's important. Like Peerless, there's some in Kentucky that are still like that, big ones, small ones. But I think it offers a few different options. I mean, if you can have a larger company jump in and help you produce more of it, help you sell more of it,
Yeah,
take it new places, I think that's helping. I mean, it's just really the way things have been going. And I think there's pros and cons, but I hopefully will see more pros than cons. If anything, it's just helping get better bourbon in hands, but
yeah.
it is what it is. And for what some of these companies are going for, man, it's crazy. My goal is, I want to help always small distilleries tell their story and showcase distilled spirits that you wouldn't be able to find anywhere else, and help those small mom and pop distilleries showcase what they're doing. But also, hey, if it's a great bourbon that's being done by Beam or a larger one,
Yeah.
I want to honor that too. I just want to showcase good
So
products.
how do you feel about the blackened because I know James from Metallica,
Yeah.
he's a part of
Oh yeah.
the blackened whiskey. So have you tried it yet?
I have. I love it. They're putting those in some used brandy barrels, and it's beautiful stuff. Metallica uh, project. My good friend, who unfortunately passed away a couple years ago, Dave Pickerel, helped them, who was Master Distiller Maker's Mark, who helped Whistle Pig and 80 or 90 other, maybe more distilleries. It's really good, and I love that
You
there's
know,
this new blackened cigar from Drew Estate. You've had the blackened cigar, right?
I haven't had it yet. No.
Okay, you got to try it. It's
You
so
know
good.
what?
It's
Me and Maddie
really
gonna have
good.
to have a talk. Me and Maddie got to have
Maddie, we got
yeah,
to make
me,
sure
me
to
me and Maddie
visit.
gonna have to have a talk.
It's a big cigar. I mean, it's massive flavor. You have to. I mean, for me, I would have to make sure I've had a nice, good sized meal before I do it. I wouldn't do it first thing in the morning, but I love it, and it's
So,
perfect with that blackened
you know,
whiskey.
there's a couple other. I believe the lead singer of Slayer came out with his own version of bourbon also, but and I think it's like shaped like a devil's head.
Okay.
Uh,
I'm not sure if I've had that one. I think I've heard about this, but I don't think I've had it yet.
yeah, like like a lot of entertainers now are getting more into the liquor game as far as like because George Clooney owns
Right?
Casamigos, and The Rock owns what's it
Tequila.
Jeremiah? Yeah, tequila. So
Yep.
and even Jordan has his own tequila.
Amazing.
You don't see.
And some are better than others, but some are
Yeah.
really good.
Well, I think the one thing is that they know that their name will carry it.
It helps. It helps a lot. It does.
Exactly. So I know Ryan Reynolds has his own. I believe he does a whiskey.
I think he is. And I think that, my goal is always to see if a celebrity can put their name on a great whiskey, tequila, whatever it may be. I want to make sure it's also a great product. And I think more and more of them are trying to. Maybe in the early days of trying this, they were just slapping a label on something. But I think they're really trying to be more and more involved in what they do.
Yeah. Like it's very interesting just to see the growth of just the alcohol game as far as more people are investing in it, and it's big but it's small at the same time, but and they're still
All around
fighting.
the business. Yeah,
Yeah,
really.
and they're fighting for how do I get this in people's hands? you
If
know
you're wanting to go for more and more markets, it's tougher and tougher. If you're wanting to really impact a local market, regional market, I think that's the way to grow it. You start small, you grow it. But if you already have a way to do it big, and if you can make it, do it, But
because Tesla has their own tequila.
I've not tried it yet. Have you tried it?
I haven't tried the Innocent Possible to get because they'll make like 5,000 bottles a year, and it sells out in minutes.
Elon, if you're watching, we need a bottle of this to pair with
Yeah,
the.
yeah, exactly. Hey,
We
Elon,
got to try it. It's a
holla at
fancy
your
looking
boy.
bottle,
Yeah, and
and it's a self-driving bottle. It might be even self-pouring.
it's very know what the one. So at my job, they take care of me. So when we get wine and spirits magazine. So
Mm,
when a new issue comes in, they make sure they give me one, and I'll
cool.
take a look through it because, of course, like in wine and spirits, you also have cigar advertisements in it also. So, and then I'll be able to look through, but wine and spirits, they also give ratings of
Right.
whiskeys. And you get to see all the new stuff that has came out. Like one of my favorites is I'm gonna try to I believe it's 1872 or 1792.
Oh, right. 1792, the year Kentucky became a state. Yeah.
Oh man, that is some good stuff.
No, it is. It is a nice one.
That is one of my favorites.
Is that one you guys have at your bar?
Mm-hmm.
You have some good ones. I'm gonna have to come by and see you.
Like, listen, if you come by, so like well, people are going to see this. So my hotel I work at is the Ondas Fifth Avenue in Manhattan. It's on 41st
Oh,
and Fifth.
wonderful.
So
Beautiful.
41st and Fifth. If you come in, let me know. I will make sure that the bartenders take care of you. And also too, you won't have to cover your. I'll if I have to cover everything, I'll cover everything myself. But it's a good chance that they'll take care of you.
I want to come join you there. It sounds like just a great selection of
No,
things.
so our bar is called the Bar Downstairs.
It's actually downstairs.
It's actually downstairs. So
Wow.
um so the logo is actually a New York City rat
Whoa, cool.
because like what is New York City known for? Rats.
I
So
was
when you
thinking but
so
not just
so when you first walk in, there's a little like when you first walk in, there's like a little like shrine of like a New York City rat when you
right.
first get to the door. But like we've had so many, they want to be called they don't want to be called bartenders anymore. They want to be called mixologists now. And every I would say maybe 6 months, they come out with a new menu. And they'll sit there and just either will bring people in or they'll just sit there and come up with ideas themselves. And they'll sit there and experiment with stuff that they think people will like.
I love that. And so all the things you've tried at your bar there, do you have a very favorite one?
So here's the funny thing. So I get off at 2 o'clock, so the bar isn't open yet.
Right.
I have not been there. So like if I'm working overtime shift, I'll be there, but I have not tried any of the drinks yet
Okay.
because I don't want to get in trouble. And,
Sure. We
and
don't
once
want you in trouble.
once I get out of the hotel, I'm like, I'm out the hotel. Like some people do come back and they'll sit down with a with friends and drink at the bar. But I have to try that at least one time, but I've never been there, because at the same time, like, you don't want to go there and end up taking a table from somebody else that can use the room.
Oh, sure. No, it sounds like a
So,
beautiful.
but we do have a nice selection there. Um, and we have a nice selection there. But these guys, like, they live and die cocktails. That's
Right.
the thing. So they're always online researching cocktails. They're seeing what other people are doing with cocktails, and then they want to add their own twist on cocktails. So it's now like their own little like science project. I seen one time where they were using egg whites in a certain drink.
Those have gotten popular. I love the flips, the creaminess, the egg white. I know it
Yes,
takes quite a bit more to make those, but they can be so good. I like those.
yes. So they'll do like the egg whites, and then on top of that, they'll add a little bit of a nutmeg, and that's the drink.
Mm.
So I see them make the drinks all the time. I'm just not bold enough to go up and try one.
Well, I definitely got to get there to see you. I'd
Yeah.
love to try through some of those, and
Listen, next time you're in Manhattan, let me know. And
hopefully it will be soon. I do some tastings every year there, events. It all depends, but man, I'll definitely come hang with you. That'd be
yeah,
great.
I'll
Yeah.
be awesome, and we can sit there and continue this conversation. Of
I love it. I love it. So many good people you have watching, and thank you really for having me here.
course,
And wow, just such a cool
yeah,
thing that you do, and a good reason to keep people having a sip and a smoke,
yeah,
and we'll certainly bring you some cool stuff next week. Kentucky Derby, of course, as I've told you
yes.
about.
You're
I'll do
telling
it
you,
in
tell me about
Melbourne.
that. So do you
Yeah,
want to get
Sean
into that?
Williams.
You want to get into that real quick before?
Yeah, Sean Williams and I are doing a great event. It'll be the first time the Riviera cigar will be unveiled at Bourbon's Bistro, and the founder of Bourbon's Bistro actually has a wonderful whiskey called Buzzard's Roost, which is all about experimenting with barrels. So we'll be partnering with Buzzard's Roost and Cohiba to showcase great products all around. So definitely, if you're in Kentucky or if you get by, look for the event, which we're calling Smokes and Sips Derby Soiree. And a lot of information up on bourbonblog.com about that. And I can't wait to try the Riviera cigar. And it'll go great with the Buzzard's Roost, and it'll be great to see Sean. Sean's there every year pouring whiskey, and we pour whiskey with Sean. Usually he does an event at Match over in Jeffersonville, wonderful cigar bar, which he'll be doing, I think, on Thursday or Friday night. And then, of course, Saturday will be Derby. So we'll have a lot of fun all week long.
Yeah. So guys, Tom Fisher.
Oh, real pleasure, man. Innocent, what a great time. And I can't wait
This,
to get back to New York with you.
yeah. So
Sure.
guys, all his information will be down in the description. Make sure you give him a follow on Instagram, on Twitter. His Twitter is up. When you go through his Twitter, you're gonna be kind of like blown away by it. I was going through. I'm like, no way. I'm like, this is crazy, And every time I see Tom he's always hospitable. He always like, hey, what's going on, man? How you been?
Appreciate it. We have a lot of fun.
Yeah, and hopefully one day I'll get big enough to be on the Bourbon Blog. So
Well, hey, we're going to cross promote this. I'll tell all of my friends, followers about this, and to follow you because you're doing such an amazing job with what you do. But delicious stuff, and I'm glad we could have a puff of one of Sandra's finest creations.
yes,
the SP 1014 Black.
yeah. And guys, just know you can order that at shouldismokethis.com. Just know that.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, and you should smoke it.
Yes, you should. Definitely should. But guys, you know the vibes already. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Until next time, guys. Peace.
Cheers. Thanks so much.